All right, all right. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hypergraph Hour. It is, what is it, April 28th today, 2020, well, you get the date. You know what date it is. I'm just so scrambled because I've been working so much lately, so let's get through this. Today, we're going to be talking about a very exciting development, not only a new brand, a new website, but I would say almost most importantly, a new flow for how people can work with us as a company. For the last probably, well, since we started, this has been somewhat of a frustrating journey for me. And, Jorgensen said something last week to me where he said, Diggles, you're going to look back and you're going to think, I could have been having such a great time, but I was frustrated the whole time. Those that know me, I have a tendency to just want to go so bad, and I have a lot of energy. And with that, when I joined Constellation and worked with the founders on this project from the beginning, I've been like, man, I just really want documentation. I want a product. I want a demo. I want to be able to go out there and tell the story of what we're capable of. But I had to wait, so we had to get really low level and start to research on things and build relationships as this started to percolate. And a huge props out to Wyatt and his team for staying focused on the roadmap. Mr. Jorgensen on his business roadmap has brought us to this date. So I'm very excited to walk through this. Get pumped. I've got a rave horn for some highlights, but we're going to dive in because we have a lot to cover today. So Ben, do you want to say anything before we jump in?
No, you took my intro. I love it. Hey. Go for it. Run it, man. You got that buddy. Pop collar ready to go. Get the ready.
Yeah, I it's just a medium starch. I like a heavy starch. It would be too popped
with a little rave horn, so you can remind people this is a highlight.
Yeah, it's like canned laughter. All right. Well, so those that have been following, we're looking right now at our beautiful new logo that has a whole bunch of packed into it, a great narrative that really, when I look at it, I see the company and holy cow, it's a really great thing. And I want to go ahead and start off by showing the cast of characters here. This is a medley of employees as well as contractors, advisors, investors, all sorts of great people. But really, our ecosystem gets rather broad beyond this, but these are all people that are involved in this project heavily. Of course, a lot of these faces, but I just wanted to give a big shout out because this is a sign of growth. When we came into this company, we never really wanted to have a massive headcount and start to build out a huge organization. And that's why we've put such a big emphasis on community and ecosystem and how do we develop and really foster a business that not only has people that work for Constellation, but also work for themselves, these entrepreneurs that we can kind of help guide their way and get involved in things. So I just wanted to show this because this really brings a lot of joy to me. There's a few call outs here, and I apologize that I'm not giving you a shout out. It's not because I don't love you, but it kind of pertains to what we're covering here. The first would be the guy smack dab in the center there, Adrian. So Adrian, those know him also as Headroom. And I can't say enough about this gentleman. He's got passion. He's very into the project, into the team. He shows up and he delivers. And he is the grandmaster and czar behind this overhaul of our brand. And it wasn't just pixel pushing. He had a really strong vision. And it's first I said, hey, I don't want to redo the logo. And he's like, all right. And that's the first thing he did. And it was great because he swooned me over. He showed me hey, this is actually the story. And so we're going to unpack that. But I want to give a huge shout out to Headroom. To his left, we have Christy. Christy is new to the team as about a month. That would be weird. Month. And she is the face and the product designer and product manager behind the Hypercube, which we'll be covering here soon. So big shout out to Christy and Headroom. Also a shout out to Nikki with messaging. We've had so many people. Altif has done a great job behind the scenes working with Stargazer and so many people. I could spend 2 hours on this slide alone giving props to everybody, including Gina. It's amazing. And down at the bottom there in the center, I see the Constellation community, the best community in crypto. And so we strongly believe that those that are on this call or those that have been passionate about this project are just as involved as these core members. So definitely wanted to start off with that. So here we are. We have a brand new website, and this is just the beginning. The team is probably somewhat tired of hearing me say over and over, like, it feels like we're at the beginning of our company. In a lot of ways, we are, and that's because we had this amazing protocol that Wyatt's been working on and continues to build in its robust nature. But we had to productize it. And as there's a lot of projects out there that are kind of taking different approaches to how they're trying to go to market. And we made the decision that we wanted to make this very, very retail, easy, and approachable. And that hasn't been our MO up to this point. We've largely had a lot of language and math equations and really low-level data scientist management language that we've used to describe what we have. And while that was very apropos for the phase that we were in, we're now entering this new phase, which is really around product development on top of the Hypergraph transfer protocol. And so, therefore, we launched a brand new website. And as you can see, we're positioning ourselves away from kind of the blockchain for big data and looking more at being an open source platform that anyone can create their own blockchain, cryptocurrency, or decentralized applications. So beyond just this web launch, this is also where we're starting to kick off our project intake. And so that really, I just want to say, is like, I love the brand, love the messaging. I love that we've kind of cleaned stuff up. But that's the precipice of what we're talking about today is, hey, let's get excited about building on top of Constellation. And Ben, if you have anything at any point, feel free to interrupt me, but I'm just going to keep rocking. So with that, I'm going to kind of explain the layer cake so everybody visually in their brain knows how this works and how all the pieces come together. Because we're really trying to simplify this as much as possible. Do I feel like we've nailed it? Not necessarily, but we're getting much closer and closer. I'm very excited. You're going to hear me say that a million times. So Hypergraph Network HGTP continues to be the story that we have our own custom built base layer protocol that's one of a kind and has its own novel consensus model called proof of reputational observation. And we are on a directed acyclic graph that gives us that ability to really, really push the standards of what can happen around blockchain. So we always start conversations, good old Jorgensen's on a lot of business development calls with me. We always start off like really having to hammer home that people understand we have our own base layer L0 network, because a lot of people, oh, you guys are L1, L2 built on Ethereum, you guys are Hyperledger project. And so it's always rather impressive. And, it's a chance for us to flex that, yeah, we've got our own base layer protocol. So think of this as the foundational layer in which applications, cryptocurrencies, cross-chain liquidity, all sorts of ecosystem solutions come from our protocol. God bless you, Wyatt. So this is the grand unveil. I know we've been piecing it out. We've already been talking about it. I have not been able to help myself to just get this information out there. We originally had the idea of calling it the DAG terminal. So a lot of folks may be like, well, I've heard the DAG terminal. Is that something else? No, we decided to call it Hypercube. And Hypercube really is based off of the Tesseract. And so as you see that icon there of the cube, how it fits perfectly in the center of our logo. So kind of earmark that in your brain a little bit. But Hypercube is the end-to-end blockchain business toolkit. And so this is really why we're trying to separate ourselves in the market from, hey, here's a bunch of really low-level hardcore documentation to develop your own Solidity smart contract, and hopefully you can hook into some hosting providers, and good luck. You're going to need, some pretty strong chops to be able to go to market with a solution, and then you're left with Ethereum's network and high gas fees and so forth. We didn't want to take that approach. We wanted to go after something that was very end-to-end, very approachable, that allowed all different types of folks looking to do things with distributed ledger and crypto to find a place within Constellation's toolkit. So the Hypercube, when I talked about HGTP, that's the foundational piece. Now think about a layer cake. The next piece that sits on top of that is this toolkit. So I like to think of it as like a portal to industry. That's what I keep kind of coining by it. So it's somewhat of a platform that can be used for multiple things. And so therefore, when we talk Hypercube, it doesn't mean it's just a commerce tool. It doesn't mean it's just a crypto tool. It does a lot of things. And we're going to unpack a little bit more of that as we go in here. With that, we want it to be, to have that full control and deep customization. So I'm going to talk a little bit about WordPress in a second here, but really we wanted it to be available for an individual who's interested in starting their own business, an entrepreneur, or maybe it's a collective of a few guys and gals starting their own startup or an emerging business. That's great. Or do we want to work with an enterprise that's looking to, deploy their own custom instance on their own servers in their hosting environment and run their own blockchain book of business while using this tool that hooks into HTTP? So there are a lot of, while it says no coding required, we want it to be very flexible. This is where the open source piece comes in. Anybody can dip in and they can mess with the APIs. They can, take control of the Hypercube in their own way, or they can just kind of use some of those out of the box features to get some of their solutions up and running. So one of the big things that we always talk about is how we work directly with existing IT infrastructure and developer data management tools. And I'm working heavily behind the scenes, as you guys have seen with my relationships with like AWS and Splunk and others, to make sure that these integrated developer tools are baked directly into this so that you can use those solutions within your ecosystem rather easily. And that's an homage to what Wyatt has built on the back end as a very elastic, robust, and flexible network. So I touched on hosted or private builds. Again, you can either you choose a build of this, or you can host your own, making it again very flexible. And it's ecosystem ready, and we are focusing the whole gamut from personal to enterprise. I love enterprise. It's where I focus my energy on, is the legacy. But this emerging world, I think, is going to shatter the capabilities of what the enterprise is after. So that said,
hey, Diggles, you mind if I jump in there really quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really quick. Sorry. I think one of the amazing pieces to think about in the Hypercube is, what if you had smart contracts and Solidity in a nice interface that wasn't so confusing and daunting? And that's what Hypercube becomes. We talk a lot about state channels being a more robust solution than smart contracts, but what about the end developer and being able to actually build something without all the complexity and barriers to building a smart contract? And that's really where the vision with Hypercube came in, while also focusing on how state channels connect to our wider network and our native currency, which is kind of a rather, one of the pain points of Ethereum is that it's really hard to understand how smart contracts always relate to the native currency. And so the Hypercube really puts that into one big picture, from building state channels, node operations, to the building of a token in the vast network. So we're really bringing in all these concepts to provide a singular story of how all of this relates to decentralization.
Sweet. Thanks, buddy. Yeah. I guess one narrative that I want to plug in here before I jump to the next slide is that we do want this to be end to end, and we don't do everything, and we're not trying to take on everything. That's why the ecosystem ready piece is really important. We're not going to be a hosting provider. That's why we're going to work with AWS and DigitalOcean and Google Cloud Platform and so forth. But even down to a company coming in and wanting to figure out token economics, how do they write their white paper? They're going to need legal help. And we have relationships that we've already baked out that they can call these folks. They know how to take them in and handle that part of the business, all the way down to how to build and deploy your community. And of course, with things like Lattice Exchange and some of our strategic partnerships in the exchange world, all the way down to listing up onto exchange. So really try to think of this end to end. I think that's rather important. And I personally got we got the inspiration behind WordPress. There's a picture of me here with Matt Mullenweg, the founder of WordPress. Funny to think this is actually 12 years ago. I look like a young buck there, but WordPress is a toolkit, right? As it comes out of the box, yeah, they give you this kind of like vanilla theme, but hey, if you want to do all this stuff, you can tap into this ecosystem of plugins, widgets, and so forth. You want to overlay in a commerce solution. It's all there, and it's backed by a development community that's always enriching the platform, and it's open source. So if you want to dip into those APIs and start to really tweak the different elements, you can. So this was a really big deal for us. It's like kind of going after this WordPress piece, because WordPress is a portal into industry, just like Constellation's Hypercube is for blockchain and cryptocurrency. So, but going back to the ecosystem, we're not trying to take everything on. Just like WordPress, if you want to stand up an e-commerce solution, you still need an SSL certificate, and you have to get that through GoDaddy or Thought or whoever. But it's I just am very passionate about this. I almost cried when I first met Matt, 12 years ago. I was like, dude, you've made me so much money, and I've learned so much, and I want to pass that on. I'm so passionate about creating tools for other people, and now we've got Hypercube. So here's my rave. There's my rave horn. There we go. Okay, so keeping it going. Great, we got Hypercube, and Hypercube is going to continue to mature. We're working hard to best understand how we're going to make this thing totally kick ass, right? And so the way to make it totally kick ass is that we need to take in a subset of projects that we can foster through an end-to-end experience and learn which holes, and we're already learning quite a bit with some of the projects we're working on, but learn what holes in this end-to-end solution that we can make sure are all taken care of, so that when we get to this to a self-serve capacity where it's open, that we know that it's been stress tested and we've looked through all the fringe use cases to making a really solid end-to-end solution. So we're also very excited today to open up a call for proposals or project intake for those that are looking to build on top of Constellation. Naturally, of course, since we're an open source solution, this isn't the pathway that you're going to have to use in order to build on Constellation, but this is an early way for us to start to generate interest, start to understand what types of projects are looking to tap into HTTP and Hypercube, and also the opportunity for us to select some of those, a subset of those solutions or projects that we want to give white glove treatment through an end-to-end cohort. So I'm going to actually, as lame as this sounds, because I always hate this, I'm going to read this just so it gets in your heads here. How it works, this is a multi-stage process in which Constellation team will evaluate project proposal submissions with the intention of selecting a short list of proposals to be personally guided through their development and go-to-market process by the core Constellation team and community. We're looking for blockchain projects of all types and sizes to take advantage of Constellation's core team guidance. During the period of performance, each project team selected will receive hands-on technical direction, marketing, and community support, as well as business guidance. Teams may also receive funding, fundraising, and grant opportunities, which I'm going to have Ben touch on in a second here. Stage one of the process is to supply the Constellation team with an overview of your project proposal using the form that we have on our site live. And we will be reviewing proposals in the order that they are received. And if appropriate, we will reach out with a stage two form requesting further project information. The stage one selection process will be completed by summer of 2021. The reason why that's kind of a malaise number there is because we just don't know. We don't know. We're going to have to see how this goes for the first probably 5 or 6 weeks and kind of tighten our timeline from there. But our aim is to attract the next blockchain entrepreneur to build a scalable business with confidence from multiple stakeholders that engage with the business. Constellation enables anyone to tap into a cryptocurrency ecosystem and integrate blockchain technology to existing systems and applications to our state channels and LO standard. Can't help myself. Hey, so Ben, maybe you can talk a little bit about like the vision behind this when we're talking about potentially getting access to fundraising and grant opportunities.
Yeah, so one of the things that is always complicated in the crypto ecosystem is the fundraising opportunity. And a large part of ERC20 was basically a PR stunt to raise money. And so what we want to be able to do is guide people through the proper fundraising channels, whether that's reaching out to some of our network of credible funds, or it's actually receiving a grant from the Stardust Collective, which works off of the taxes that are received from each node, where projects can go in and kind of present their business and their pitch deck and apply for a grant. Going through the incubation obviously would provide more of a high touch experience, where we as a team can get behind something and put our stamp of approval and usher that in through our various channels. And I think it's a very exciting time for projects to have the guidance on what groups are credible, who really backs projects, something that we've been monitoring between Constellation and Lattice. One of the fascinating things that we're going to start to introduce is how do generative tokenomics really get play into our system. So as we introduce projects, not only will projects be required to stake DAG, but people that want an allocation in projects will be required to stake DAG. And it'll be on the project to maintain a level of transparency, accountability, and robust rewards to keep that liquidity attractive in the staked pools. So something that we have not seen in the space is flipping the whole script and saying, what if you wanted an allocation to these projects what would that look like? And how would you stake DAG? And then would any project that comes through our incubation be required to produce some sort of rewards for that staking? So all of these kind of elements kind of tie into how we are framing our new tokenomics and the generative economics that are to come.
Thanks, buddy. So as far as what types of projects we're looking for, really anything that kind of fits in our ecosystem. It's pretty obvious that if you're looking to do something that has to do with decentralization or cryptocurrencies, we're a perfect fit. And we're looking forward to taking on a lot of projects that have hit technical debt or issues with other protocols and platforms. That's part of our strategy, is to open it up and say, hey, we know that you're hitting some of those walls and come on over here. And just so everybody knows, while we're doing this from the community perspective, I'm also working these channels on my legacy and business side, with the DoD and so forth. This is the type of tool we want to get in the hands of not only the direct agencies we're working with, but ideally the system integrators and those that build solutions on behalf of protocols. I mean, you look at Simba Chain, love those guys, but they built a book of business on top of Ethereum smart contracts. And so, we're really excited to offer the same of that as well. So this, I'm not going to go through this and just save you from reading it, but this goes through the different stages that you can find on our website with the project timeline. And just so we're all clear, this isn't going to be a series of the founders picking and choosing their favorites or working with their buddies. This is truly a governed selection process amongst our chosen community members and stargazers in our governance group to help us decide what they believe are the best ones to get forward. We're going to start to see people kind of bespoke, splay out and start to get involved in different projects. So I'm just really excited to see what happens from this project intake. And so you'll see on our website, the first project that we wanted to highlight that was built on top of Constellation or HTTP, of course, is Lattice Exchange. Everybody here understands and knows what Lattice Exchange is. If you don't, check it out. But this is great because this is an example of us as a company going soup to nuts from stage one all the way to the end and deploying a solution on top of it to see if it was possible, work out the kinks. And that gave us the confidence to launch Hypercube and start getting other projects to follow suit. But you'll see that powered by Constellation. That's an icon or logo we're going to see more often that highlights that, hey, this is a project that's built on HTTP and it's part of the Constellation network. So on our website, Lattice Exchange is up there. We're going to start doing at Hypergraph Hours, showcasing projects and starting to build out a project gallery on our website to show all the different types of things that are happening within our ecosystem. So this one's really exciting. Of course, you guys all know about Lattice Exchange. We got a couple of aces up our sleeves that we're going to highlight new projects in the coming weeks here, but definitely take a chance to look at that. And so this kind of comes to this kind of grand, crescendo, if you will, around this rebrand is, I'll give a shout out to Sing Blade here. He's the community member that put out these cool graphics. I love him so much. I've been using them for wallpapers and whatnot on my phone and my desktop. But I love about this because if you think about that outer ring as being like the hypergraph transfer protocol and that inner cube being Hypercube, being that portal into industry, and that individual standing in front of it is the application builder or that legacy mindset looking to get out of this world that has been, owned by the central authorities and open up to this new decentralized utopia. And I may be overselling it, but I want that to invoke that feeling when you look at this thing, which is, hey, there's every element here. You have the network, you have the terminal, a Hypercube, and then you have the individual looking to build that project. So that's what I love about this rebrand is it's very product focused and it tells a story. So big shout out to the person who put these together. I love them. And of course, I just wanted to give a shout out to the DAG token because of course that's always a big part of this and don't want to just overglaze it. We've got our Stargazer wallet, we've got our Molly wallet. And these are going to continue to grow. The Stargazer world is going to continue to be a massive focus for us, and this is all powered by DAG, which is really exciting. So I just wanted to touch on that. And then on the ecosystem partners, this is another shift that we've made in kind of the way that we're messaging and positioning our company. Is we're trying to take pressure off of kind of these big logo partnerships. Don't get me wrong, they're very important, but so are some of these other ones that may be different, if you will. So we're really trying to blend ecosystem together because everyone plays a role in this larger vision versus it just being around, hey, you guys partnered with Tesla? It's like, that's fine. I mean, maybe we will at some point, but you got to understand, we're trying to be ubiquitous. We're trying to be this infrastructure tool that permeates all different industries and is looked at as, very base layer versus being at that application layer. Maybe I'll call Tesla and have them use the Hypercube. I think that's a better relationship than for us to go and do something specific with them. We want to enable people. So this doesn't represent all the logos, but you'll notice that on the website, there has been a few changes, and I'm just going to get out ahead of it and say it. We have decided to move away from our partnership with Mobi, and that may come to as a shock for everyone, but it is strategic. We are engaged with another mobility consortium that falls in line with a bigger vision. We do believe in autonomous vehicles, and we believe in what Mobi is doing, but we felt a little bit pinched, and so we wanted to broaden it out. So just know that we'll be doing an announcement on our mobility push. We still are promoting the Mobi Consortium and believe in those folks. But if you don't see the logo, don't start freaking out. And then the other thing is we also quit Hyperledger. That was something that just wasn't fruitful for us, as we really appreciated what it brought to the table from a legacy mindset and learning about how they're attaching, Fabric to supply chain management and what engagements they're doing. It's really a tokenless ecosystem, which is like iced tea without ice. And we feel that this crypto world is a way better conversation of attaching cryptocurrencies, not only for business value, but whole new economies. And talking like that isn't something that necessarily falls in the Hyperledger preview. So we just decided that it's not where we wanted to party. So more will be coming out around where we're moving our efforts. But for now, I just want to mention that. So if you see that those are missing on the website, there was a strategic decision behind that, and there's no bad blood. So just wanted to say that. Now, this is like I put this slide together because I thought it was funny, but I also think it's rather serious. And this is like almost like therapy to myself. It's almost like me looking in the mirror and be like, all right, Diggles, it's the year of hype and flex, baby. And, I love that Hypergraph has the word hype in it. So is Hypercube. And hype is important. And that's where all of you come in, is Constellation has almost limitless growth potential. It's insane. I mean, it's to the point where I almost, like I was saying, I have sweaty palms almost every day. So I have to use this towel because I'm just always so excited about all the things we're doing. So now is the time to hype. We finally have gotten our kind of product vision in place where we can start to beat this drum and show people like, yep, this is massive growth potential. But on the other side, we have flex, meaning like we can do things no one else can do. L0 brings crazy possibility that everyone else can mess around on L1 and L2 solutions. That's fine. Hey, we'll create a hybrid, API call to whatever your solution is if you want to tap into our network. But HGTP and what we have, no one else has. And I am so excited about that because this is what keeps me from getting emotional around token price. I don't care. It's because I'm in it for the long run, and we've got this proven technology. And now it's the time to bring it to life using this awesome toolkit that's going to sit on top of it. So I made a quant matrix here, and I put us at the top right already. So it's kind of it's already beat us to the punch there. But that's all I had for today. And I want to hand it over to Ben Jorgensen so he can touch on the topics he has. I mean, my final words are, we don't know what we don't know. So while I sit here and sound very confident and everything, and I am very confident, just give us some grace to kind of pivot and move around this as this market matures and as we learn through this process of taking in these projects. Oh, you took over. Okay, got it. As we learn and get these projects going. So give us a little grace as we learn and mold the Hypercube. But inversely, get excited. What types of projects are out there that you can maybe bring into the mix to fill out that form that could potentially get funding, could potentially get guidance from the community as well as the core team. So it's a call to everybody here to just, give us a little grace as we work through this, because we don't know, but I'm feeling very confident, and inversely help us by hyping this up and getting people to look at Constellation as the killer solution we've all been waiting for. So over to you, Ben.
Thanks, man. I know how excited you are and how much work you put into all this, and it's come out so beautiful and so simple, and some of the most complex stuff is making it rudimentary and extremely simple. So great work on all that, and everybody that's participated in this. Personally, I'm working with several projects very intimately on developing their business strategy, tokenomic strategy, fundraising, listing strategy, and it's a ton of fun. I'm having a ton of fun in working with all these ideas because they're so big. They're shifting industries onto Constellation's network, and the question is not just like, are we blockchainizing a piece of their business, but literally porting over an entire industry and putting it on a distributed ledger is such a fascinating mindset, because the question is not like, oh, that's pretty cool, they could add transparency to supply chain. Like, I don't know, I don't care about that. I want to see really big stuff, and that's what really gets my attention. And now we start like looking at these tokenomics and these projects that are coming on, and having them, if people want an allocation, they stake DAG. Well, all of that sets the tone for cross-chain liquidity between different ecosystems. And all of that momentum around, hey, we're doing a fundraise. Not only is the project going to be staking DAG, but projects are going to be staking LTX as well. And the people that are wanting to back them will, which really kind of starts the whole process of building liquidity for cross-chain swapping that will occur on Lattice Exchange. Lattice Exchange is such a fascinating project, and I love seeing this come to light. And the first thing that we have to kick off with Lattice is governance. And building a decentralized exchange like Lattice starts with governance. This is our kind of recognition that for this platform to be successful, it has to be in the hands of the community. Accretive value in this platform needs to be sourced from the community and their participation in it and what they want to see. So today we are launching the Lattice governance as the first major launch of many things to come over the next 2 months. And so while it's not groundbreaking to have a governance structure, it is the essential piece in the entire vision, because this is where we start to hear the voices of the community to really kind of drive what they want to see in the future of this. And in the background, we are building the business relationships to make this the global liquidity platform of the entire crypto space. And I am so confident that we will do that, because we have put together an entire list of people that are coming in to make this a one-stop hub to collateralize crypto assets and receive a USD loan, to back projects through Lattice Launchpad, for projects to get recognized, and then be able to swap between different ecosystems, which just invites more and more liquidity. So liquidity is not just about creating a liquidity farm, but also how do you tap into institutions that want to collateralize massive amounts of crypto and provide them an avenue to deploy that capital. So today we start with the governance. And on the website on Lattice, on our platform demo site, as we mentioned, we're unlocking different pieces as they become more available. So this week we're launching the governance, and at the very bottom you can see the forum. If I click the forum, you can actually see, you can actually start to create a dialogue around things that you want to see before you actually submit a proposal. So at the very bottom, we've connected the voting and proposal link, which takes us into where we can submit a proposal. So here, we can start this off by what is the minimum amount of LTX to submit a proposal. LTX minimum. Figured it would be best that I start this off and we enter the various choices. We could say 50 LTX, 100, add a choice, 1, 2, 3, select the start date. Let's do it. What is today? The 28th. We'll do that at 1 p.m. Select end date. We'll put it for Monday the 3rd at 12, and boom. we've got it published. So I'm really excited to launch the first step for a decentralized exchange, which will be the governance and getting everybody to participate in this. This to us is an extremely exciting path, because not only are we starting to get project submissions that will ultimately be listed on Lattice, but we're also starting to invite true decentralized participation in the creation of value in our entire ecosystem. So pretty exciting. Please log in, start creating some chats around what you want to see. Heck, if you don't even like my proposal, get rid of it. We can start over again, or we can actually get more particular and get more of the details. What is a core feature of Lattice that we need to submit a proposal for, and what amount of Lattice do we stake for core submissions and ideas versus general features, and what do those features look like? So we're open. We want to hear your thoughts and want to hear what you have coming to the table. Next week, we will have a Hypergraph hour next week. I'm pretty excited about this, as we're going to be talking to one of the projects that we are incubating, and we'll be building on Constellation and talking through their tokenomics, their strategy that they're approaching, which is vastly different than everybody else, and a little more insight into their team and the business. So that will be the first of many to come, and get ready. Like I'm already ready for that Hypergraph hour. It's going to be fun. So can't thank you guys all enough. This was a big day for us all, as the company really kind of put their feet in the ground and felt like we started it over again. But I think that we're always going to have many starts and restarts to our future. And this one is going to really bind our community to participate in backing of projects, building projects. Everybody's got a role to play in the participation of it. So there's going to be a lot of releases coming out in the next 2 months. Diggles?
Awesome. Yeah, I'll take her home here. I appreciate that. And I think that's the message that I want to push out, as well as I kind of end this off, is that we're at the beginning. And it's really exciting, because it's just, there's a lot of work ahead of us, but, we need your help. We want you all involved. And so one of the things, just being the beginning, of course, we launched a new website. If you see something that's broken or could be better, let us know. Give us feedback. What type of stuff is missing that you want to see? The one that's very obvious is we're going to have a page that explains very detailed what it's going to take to run a node. We know that everybody's asking how to run a node. I got my 250,000 DAG staked, or I got it ready to stake and all that. And that's coming. So we are gonna have a very clean page that explains to everybody, because I know everybody's chomping at the bit. We're also going to be introducing an education portal, maybe not a portal, but an education experience. So look out for that. We realize that we haven't done the best job of explaining bite-sized pieces of what small things are within our company versus these long hour, hey, let's take you to the bottom of algebra and back. So we are going to have a really great education portal coming out rather soon. So I guess as I say that, community, we ask, what do you want to see? If there's things like, man, I still can't wrap my head around, like, say, a state channel. It'd be really great just to have a 2-minute video that's really succinct around what a state channel is. So give us feedback. We look at everybody on this call as a partner. So I'm really excited as well for next week. And we're going to have a microsite or a project page for that project that's going to be live when we announce it. Ben's just done a great job with that company and ushering through. So has Matthias and everybody else. So I don't think that there's anything else. Ben, if you want to say anything else?
Nope.
All right.
Thanks,
great.
all.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll talk soon. Let's go Hypercube.
Bye.